Welcome to Season 4 of the Bird Joy Podcast. Your hosts, Dexter Patterson and Jason Hall, are back with more birds, more bird joy, and plenty of laughs along the way. Each episode brings new stories, fun conversations, and a whole flock of good vibes. We're happy you're here. We really miss the homies, and we hope you enjoy this season. You ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to the Bird Joy Podcast. Today we are joined by a homie, someone I have admired for a long time. Today we are joined by Trenton Schulz-Franco, founder of the Special Bird Service Society in Canada, an outdoor community rooted in Victoria and Vancouver with a clear and powerful mission to build spaces of belonging in nature for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, as well as 2SL LGBTQIA+ folks. Trenton's work sits at the intersection of birding, ecology, justice, storytelling, and community care. Through Special Bird Service, he's helping reimagine what birding and outdoor spaces can look like when they are led with intention, joy, and accountability. This is not just about getting people outside, but about creating environments where people are feeling safe, seen, and genuinely welcome. Trenton brings a background shaped by multiple disciplines, including ecology, photography, guiding, and community organizing, and his leadership reflects a deep understanding that access alone is not enough. Belonging is what truly matters. We're excited to talk today about community building, storytelling, outdoor justice, joy, and what it really takes to create a space in nature for people who have historically been excluded from it. Trenton, homie, welcome to the Bird Joy Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Jason and Dexter, truly.
You got it,
Man, we, like he said, we've been watching and admiring the work that you're doing up there with the Special Bird Service. I remember I got so fired up. I got a mailing from y'all up there with some stickers in it and some stamps on the letter and stuff. I was just like, they get it. They are doing the work up there, and it's so exciting. I hope I can get up there one of these days and go birding with y'all up there in Canada. You've worn many hats over the years. What was the moment or realization that led to you founding Special Bird Service?
And it's funny you said that I wear a lot of hats because I actually work for a land trust right now that's called HAT. It's Habitat Acquisition Trust. So I actually use that joke a lot.
Literally,
depending on the hat that I'm wearing. But where it all started for me really was like my whole life has been, I've had the really privilege to have experiential education opportunities in the outdoors. And so that really was the catalyst for me, was like living on a bog when I was younger, or living on a street that was on a bog. So having like a wetland nearby, a great horned owl lived in the Gary Oak at the end of my drive. And so there was like pellets on the driveway. And so it's just kind of like started there when I was really young. And then through all the cool opportunities I've experienced throughout my life and had the privilege to experience, I thought to myself and saw the direct need within the community of like, hey, can we get those opportunities going for more people, especially those within our communities have historically been excluded from spaces like this.
Dang, that sounds so familiar, doesn't it, Jason?
It really does.
Wow. There was this need. We felt the need to be a part of the solution, create these spaces. And I'm so happy you did that. And you can kind of see the impact that you're having up there. And it's so fun to watch, man. It's so fun to watch.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. But I truly cannot take credit for it myself. Like it's really a massive community of people, of volunteers who get involved. And, most of them are my family members. Like the first walk was literally 7 people and 5 of them are my family members that I kind of like dragged out, of course, to come out. So
that's the way it goes.
It all starts there. And then, like in the last year, we were able to do like over 45 events with over 1,000 people attending, which was really, really huge for us.
Impact.
Yeah, man, that's like super incredible. And like, was this? So you said it was like what, 5 to 7 people, and most of them were relatives, right? So how did that? Did you know at that moment like you were gonna do this, right? Or was that more of an informal kind of start to it that spurred on the more formal Special Bird Service?
Well, from then, actually, like I just kind of had this feeling of I knew where I wanted it to go. And so, there's kind of been different iterations, but this is really where things went in February of 2021 when we started SBS. And so, yeah, we just heard what the community needed, saw our own needs, took in our own experiences and tried to build that into comprehensive programming for the community.
And this sounds super familiar to In-Color Birding and BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. I tell you what, man.
It does.
In 2021 too, like
I know. We were all
2020,
like, boom,
2021, like everybody was just like, it was like we had this hive mind and everybody was like, bet we're in. So that's super awesome to hear. Even our homies in Canada.
Trenton, kind of staying there, was there a specific experience that made the need for the special bird service impossible for you to ignore? Like, was there like this spark event or aha moment or a specific experience that said we need this?
So I went to university in the UK. I'm originally from Victoria here in Canada. I moved away in 2013 to go to university in the UK. And it was actually my roommate in university, Danny, who took me to like a community birding event for BIPOC folks only in the UK. And then I saw that space and experienced that space and was like, wow, we need this at home. There's just no questions about it. Yeah, and I originally tried to bring that an arm of that organization out here as well. But unfortunately, the values didn't line up and no harm, no foul. And we moved on and made our own thing and started the special bird service. And from there, it's really been taking flight. Excuse the pun.
I like it. I love a good pun. You know, growing up, you mentioned living on a bog, which sounds incredible. It sounds so whimsical. What kind of messages were you receiving, like maybe up through when you even went to the UK, about who the outdoors was for? Were you supported in the outdoors? Did you see communities not being supported in the outdoors in the neighborhood that you were in? Like, how did that look for you?
Where I live in Canada is pretty multicultural, and we're really privileged to be able to have a great access to the outdoors, like really close by. And so there are the opportunities are there, but that doesn't mean access, like opportunity doesn't equal access directly, right? Like we all know this. I think the main piece that I was privileged enough to experience was the education piece in the outdoors, was like get access to the gear, get access to guides, get access to teachers or folks that have an understanding of these events or these activities and can share that experience with us. And so we can try in a challenge by choice or in a challenging environment, but that still has those safety precautions built in as well. Here, there still is a lot of racial, socioeconomic, and demographic factors that build into access and opportunities in the outdoors. So, you know, I experienced it firsthand. Also had the privilege of having parents who supported me to be able to go after those opportunities as well. And so it was kind of like it represents a lot about me, to be honest, because like I come from a multicultural family, I'm biracial. And so like that also having one foot in each world, or one foot in and one foot out kind of thing. If you think about it, it's very similar for that experience for me as well. It was like, I did feel supported, but I didn't feel the most included or the most like welcomed. I don't think there was necessarily like cultural safety built into like events when I was a kid kind of thing. I don't really think that was thought of. Yeah, just trying to be that uncle or that dad or that like sort of father figure or that person in the community that is like sharing those experiences I had when I was younger in a way that is even more positive, or like leaving it a bit more positive than when I had them.
So it's really incredible to hear, like, just that you were supported, you were pushed into nature of like, yeah, just go outside, you know, see some stuff, explore in the bog, be safe. It wasn't necessarily like when you got there that there were systems and structure and welcoming setup, right? And it's just a really interesting, like the way you kind of present that, right? It's like all this enthusiasm heading out the door and then getting there and being like, I have to untangle this a little bit, right? Like were there moments that you can remember where you had to justify your presence in the outdoors when you were coming up?
I think on the ski hill or like snowshoeing, something in Canada that's a pretty universal experience or a pretty accessible experience for a lot of people in Canada. And so it can be anyways. And so there are a lot of barriers to access it still with the gear, traveling to the mountain and things like that. But I think there was just sort of this moment for me in 10th grade. I was part of this experiential program and at my school. And basically we dropped all of our non-essential classes. So we did math, science, English, and one language. And all of our days ended at lunch, and we would go help out at the local industrial nonprofit complex, like the United Way and all of those places in the afternoon. And then on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we would go surfing, sailing, kayaking, canoeing every weekend, or like one weekend a month kind of thing, or 2 weekends a month. And so I had access to all these different outdoor opportunities with the gear provided by the school or rented kind of thing, with guides who also attended and showed us how to do things. And so I did really feel supported in that respect. It's hard to say if there's like one memory that stands out, but that grade 10 year or the 10th grade year was really the caveat for me, or the real crux of things, of changing and being like, there's this whole other aspect of things. Like, yes, it's challenging. Yes, you get wet, you get cold, you are outside for long periods of time, but there's something about like experiencing that and taking that in its stride and feeling like you accepted that for what it was and not really overcame it, but were able to persevere through it. And that memory of the experience was often that huge driver for me in my life, and trying to bring other people into having those memories or experiences as well.
You talked about early on, you would show up in some spaces and not always necessarily feel welcomed, but then also having opportunities like you just talked about where you did feel supported as well. How did those various experiences shape the values that you've built for the Special Bird Service? I
think just having a wider understanding, coming from a household from different countries, that gave me an understanding that a greater understanding of people thinking differently, or that there's a real spectrum of how people think and experience things. And so having those separate viewpoints allowed me to see that, hey, there's probably viewpoints that I'm not privy to or can't understand or can't see. And so having that ability to take on new information really and open your horizons to, maybe this, how I've thought about things isn't really the way it is, and learning from those experiences, and also not being harsh on ourselves too. Like, I heard this great quote where it says, you're not responsible for your first thought, but you are responsible for the action afterwards. And I think that really, really informs well the feeling that I kind of described there of like, you might not always know the right thing to do or the right way to go about things, but if you come with care and respect and reciprocity, that we can usually figure out a way through things.
Yeah. I really love that. Right. And it's, I think the most interesting part is we talk to so many people from different environments, right, and different upbringings. And you had, sounds like say pretty good access to and support in nature and some different things there. But you didn't leave that as, it must be like this for everyone. Like there was something in there that made you aware that it wasn't like that for everyone. And you took all those values and said, regardless of maybe the privilege I had in some spaces of my life growing up, I'm still going to turn around and give this back. And I think that's really special. And it's also a story that we don't hear as often, right? Sometimes we hear people where they grew up with nothing and then they built the opportunity, and you grew up with more than maybe most, but then turns around and made sure that no one else has to have nothing, which is really, really awesome. You talked about the difference between access and belonging, which again, I don't think a lot of us talk about as much as we probably should. Can you unpack that a little bit for folks hearing that the first time?
Yeah, sure. I think it also lends more to the answer of your question, Dexter, as well, about experiences that I've had too, and just even though I was supported and had those experiences and had the ability and stuff like that, a lot of the folks that I saw out on those trips, or the folks that instructed those trips, or the people that we would see out on those trips who were on their own trips doing it as well, but separately, they were almost always of one shade and one background.
Sure.
And so that really, that representation, that understanding, if you see people in the outdoors doing things that look like you, or that maybe have a similar life experience to you, or you feel drawn towards, that almost always encourages you and makes you feel like you can also be there and feel comfortable. For me, the access and belonging, they are two important pieces of the puzzle that we try to fit together at SBS, and what I hear you guys are also doing with your groups too, is just really not only providing the opportunities for folks to go out and do that, but providing the opportunities for folks to go out and do that with people who look like them, have similar experiences, come from the same demographics, and if not, come to the space with reciprocity and care and an open mind and a willingness to learn from and with each other.
I love that so much. I always tell people there's nothing like being out and you got some kids with you in the group and they're using binoculars for the first time, right? And all of a sudden they put the binoculars up and they're like, I see it. And they get all excited. How do you feel when you see people visibly relax once they realize they belong at one of your events? Is it like a similar feeling, like when you just like, you see somebody and they're like, like they're just being themselves in nature. How's that feel as somebody that leads events for folks?
I get really amped up. Like it gets me excited. And so I have a hard time because I know it's like a restorative and relaxing thing as well. So I have a hard time not like being overloaded with joy just because I do love birding and seeing birds, but also seeing other people experience, lifers or seeing something that they've only seen far away or not got great looks at. That really is like almost like payment for me. I'm like the buildup of seeing all these people like have those first experiences or like have experiences like I've had. And, maybe they might not feel the exact same way, but I could tell from their body language or the way that they're talking, like they're also excited or fired up in some way too. So it's almost contagious because like I said, like the first walk that we did was 5 of them were my family members, and actually like the board at SBS is all my family members and stuff like that. We just operate on a really like trust-based efficient manner that makes things work. Like we're not a charity, we're a not-for-profit, which is a separate thing here up in Canada, and so we're able to run efficiently and trust-based and just have like a circular leadership structure where we don't need to send something upstairs and get it signed off by a board of directors and stuff like that. Like we can do things just by talking about it. And so and that has translated to our events, like where we just go out and exist. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Like we just go out and spend time outdoors.
I love it. Yeah. I was going to ask, how do you design experiences that signal safety, without having to explain it? Because I think that's something I see on your posts, right? It's like everybody seems comfortable, right? And I know there's probably effort that goes into making sure that whether you guys are on land or, as jealous as I am, on a boat somewhere looking at cool stuff. So like, how do you do that?
You said it's not said. And although it's not said in every single post, it is said in numerous places, like in our community agreements for our walks, in our membership structure when people join. It's in all of the emails that they get sent when they sign up through our links. We share that our pillars are mental health advocacy, experiential education, recreation and stewardship. And that involves intercultural and cross-generational learning spaces. And so if people come, like we've talked about, with reciprocity, respect, and care, also with curiosity too, then people are welcome. And so by sharing that in all of those forms, but then also starting in circle, going counterclockwise and sharing names, pronouns, and then usually like some bird fact or like bird memory of late, or, sometimes we come up with like a silly question, like what's your favorite sauce? What's your favorite dessert? Like something like that, just to like break it down to like, it just doesn't have to be about birds, because some people aren't interested in birds when they first come to the walk. When they leave,
then you get them though, right? But then you get them though, right? Yeah, I know you do. I think we might have to add what's the favorite sauce to the lightning round.
Yeah, I love it. Drop it in. That is fantastic. You talked a little bit about the opening. I really enjoy that. We do very similar thing. We get in circle, introduce ourselves, pronouns, ask some question. Like right now, what's your favorite winter activity? Or what's your favorite winter bird? What's a winter bird you wish you could see, or a bird you wish you could see? If you're not into birds, what is your favorite thing to do outside? So very similar. And I noticed that when we're able to do that, we can set the tone immediately. Walk us through like a typical SBS gathering after that. Like what should somebody expect when they show up to your events? Yeah. So Khalid Boudreau, our education director, he's planned our events really to follow migration. And so what's going on for us is, January we take off, February we start getting into things again, and we start from there. And so our circle starts, we do our intros, and then we usually, it honestly just
kind of flows from there really naturally, because often birds will fly over us or around us, or we'll be hearing things as we're in the circle. And then it's kind of just like we let Khalid loose, and then he just finds a whole bunch of stuff and hears a whole bunch of stuff, and then people just kind of follow him. And then there's usually like,
I love that.
yeah, no, you
Somebody in the back like, release the Khalid.
yeah, basically. And that's for our mainland walks in Vancouver. Here on the island, things are, I would say, like on the more relaxed side. We just have like monthly drop in, drop out BIPOC birding. And then we try and plan events, like we mentioned on the mainland, in line with what's happening with the seasons, like with migration and what's happening with the seasons changing. So, like late winter, like waterfowl stuff all up until March. Then March, really, the migration starts here, and it just kind of goes crazy until midsummer when it drops off. And then in the fall, we do salmon stuff, shorebird stuff in August before the salmon stuff, and then we do
nice.
And then we're trying to tie it all in together this year. In the last year, we've made a real concerted effort to tie in, hey, like, let's understand what makes this bird appear here, or what makes this bird want to come and hang out in this spot. And so that led us to the understanding of, most often native plants are housing bugs or housing habitat that the birds hang out in. If there's invasives, not only are they lower calorie wise for the birds, but they're also not as nutrient dense. And so migratory birds prefer native plant species over invasive species. And so we're trying to tie that into, okay, now what about fish? And so understanding how salmon play a role in the ecosystem. When salmon gets eaten by a wolf or a bear and it gets taken out of the river and dropped in the forest, it then decomposes through mycelial network and different things to become part of the soil nutrients, which then gets reuptake into trees. So they've actually found salmon DNA in trees now in BC. And so it's really incredible to just tie all of the things together. And, we talk about the birds that eat salmon eggs, like the dippers and things like that. So, it's really incredible to just try, and I guess it's just really, as we're learning about things and learning with people, we're trying to share that experience and those learnings with other people as well.
I need to see a dipper.
Oh man,
your life will
I need
never
to see
be
a
the
dipper,
same,
bro. I've never seen one, and every time I see a video, I feel some kind of way.
They're so special.
I'm just like, why y'all don't want to hang out here? We got a lot of water in Wisconsin.
You do, but you don't want to
hunt here.
I heard that they're an indicator about water quality. So they only exist in certain, or like their main habitat is like streams of super high water quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did an episode of Just the Zoo of Us podcast, and I had to explain the American Dipper, and that was one of the things. They are really incredible. I think I saw my first one. I was out looking for one, and I found one, and I also saw my first moose, and this was in like northern Idaho.
Nice.
So that was a great bird walk that day. Although the moose was a mother and had a babe with her, so I was like, I better hide, or else she's gonna jack me up. So you mentioned learning as you go and being out in these spaces and trying to connect things. And you all SBS operates in Victoria and Vancouver. These places have really deep indigenous histories, right? And so how do you honor the place, honor the land while you're welcoming people in and make sure that they understand that aspect of the space that they're in?
Yeah, for sure. We take it as like a really big responsibility as people who occupy these territories. So where we live, and this was actually what I wanted to try to get into when we were talking about the circle. There's just so many amazing things to talk about with you guys. So I appreciate the space. But yeah, in the circles, we start and we go counterclockwise. And that's actually tradition, a Coast Salish tradition. Many peoples here on the shared territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, which is the Esquimalt and Coasapsum nations, and the Hosainich communities here on southern Vancouver Island. They're part of what's called the Coast Salish language group. And here on these lands, people go counterclockwise in our circles. So that's just like a small way that we do it. And so by incorporating not only like small things like that, but also Senchothan language, like where I was born is Hosainich territory. And so I've become very interested in Senchothan is the language that Hosainich people speak. And I've become very interested in specifically my road into the Senchothan language was through bird names because they're often, I think it's I forget what the word is, but there's an English word that describe when you name something, it describes the sound that it makes essentially. And so a lot of the indigenous or a lot of the Senchothan language words for birds are actually like what local communities interpret the sound to be like. So like Steller's Jay, like is chia, and so it's like sounds like the loud Steller's Jay call, chia, chia, And hummingbird is squatchily, which sounds like the Anna's hummingbird wings.
Yeah,
they're making a little buzzing. So
much better than
that's
the
so
name,
cool.
By the way. Like, I mean, it's right there, people. It's right there. Like we don't have to read. Like it's right there. Yeah. So good, man.
Yeah. And, there's many stories we've been told, like that of the salmonberry thrush. What is it? The Swainson's thrush. So the Swainson's thrush comes back in June to these lands and starts singing. And that's its really loud forest call then. And it starts to sing when the salmonberries are ripe. So the people here refer to it as a salmonberry thrush.
The salmonberry, change the name now.
It's like, right there. It's on the list.
Is so much better.
Hey, AOS, American Ornithological Society.
I know
here
some
for
of y'all
you.
listening
Please.
too. So
my God, please.
It's not
so
my
good.
legend to share, but there is local legends about that bird as well, and about the importance that it plays to the local communities as well, and to just like knowing what time of season it is, and what to do, like harvesting wise, medicine wise, those sorts of things too. So back to your question, really, it's become like a lifelong learning journey now of like, this is where I'm from. Historically, I am not from here. My people aren't from here, but my parents moved here and tried to make a life here. And so how can I be the best ally, really, I'm an uninvited guest. You know what I mean? So I have to be, I don't have to be. I choose to be as positive and as supportive as an ally as I can be, and to commit to continuously learning about the impact, not only of colonization, but the ongoing impacts of neocolonialism. And so just really not asking Indigenous people to teach me. I am trying to understand myself, and then also through SBS, we pay folks to facilitate, or we pay folks to give us keynote speeches, or we pay folks to share what knowledge they feel comfortable sharing. And sometimes that's just storytelling. Sometimes we just sit around the fire or sit at a place and listen to people. And so that's really what it's about for us, is engaging in, like we talked about, those curiosity-based, but also reciprocal and respect-based relationships of learning about the place that we occupy. Because at the end of the day, that's really what matters, is understanding. Well, I learned this from birds, really, is like, if birds are such amazing stewards of their environment, and if I can understand how they're better stewards of their environment, maybe I can understand my place in my environment, how I can be a better steward of my environment a bit better.
Wow. I was so recently I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I was there for a climate justice, like a 2-day summit. Right. And one of the speakers there actually gave a land acknowledgement that brought her to tears. So then it really kind of put me in this space of like, it wasn't just like this, I'm checking something off the box. Here's this land acknowledgement. It was like, it was so deep, and it was tied to past trauma and current trauma and where we're trying to do with the land now, and the respect from the past, but how they're building toward it. Like, it was, bro, like, I have never heard a land acknowledgement like that. And she literally cried, and I was just like, that's when you know you get it, and you're connected to the land. Shout out to Pastor Teresa Thomas Boyd, because that was the person who did it. I was just blown away. And we were at the Black Holocaust Museum when this happened. So bro, all these emotions and were just running through me, and we're doing environmental justice work. And it was more than a land acknowledgement. It was something deeply personal and reflective. Can you talk to folks who may have an organization, they want a land acknowledgement, they want to create something that really means something, how they could go about that process of learning, right? Like you talked about, but creating something that if you're in the circle and you're going counterclockwise and you're introducing these each other, how they could create a land acknowledgement that is really meaningful for the work that they do?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. And I think that really depends on where you are. It's very, very location specific. There are some really good resources out there in Canada, and I also know some south of the border as well. But just like the First Nations Health Authority, they have great resources for creating a land acknowledgement. Where I started was I went to 6 months of decolonization training with Rhiannon Bennett, who is a Musqueam woman, which is one of the nations whose territory is traditionally the Vancouver area. And she had a consulting agency where she would provide decolonization training for organizations. And my brother was working for Victoria Immigration Refugee Society at the time, and there was they'd pay for this training, and there was a spot available. And so I got to sit on this, and this was for two 2-hour sessions a week for 6 months. And so, again, very privileged to have this opportunity to be able to do this. And so this provided me an understanding of just some of the things that inform where we are today in the history of Canada. There's just some really, really horrendous and horrific things that the Canadian government continues to do to our Indigenous people, to the Indigenous people of so-called Canada. And so just providing an understanding, getting an understanding of the history, learning from the past so as we don't repeat the same mistakes going forward is really where I would start. Get an understanding of whose territory you are on, where you live. There are some resources out there that are okay for getting an understanding of generally where you are, but make sure you do a deeper dive, not just whose land or nativeland.ca or whatever. Do a real deep dive into the local specific nations or bands or tribes or whatever is referred to in your local area. Do a real deep dive into their language, what language group they're part of. Try to understand what are their real things that they care about. And I understand that's really hard to understand from the outside, but often nations on their websites will have, hey, this is the people that we are. So, the Wasanic people, their name means, they are the saltwater people. They're the people of the saltwater. And so that means they're really interested in salmon. They're really interested in all things water, like clams, and so it really depends on where you are and the nation whose land you're on. So I would really say just take some time, go to the local cultural center, the friendship center, go to the museum to understand art, go to a local restaurant that serves Indigenous food or Indigenous fusion food, go to a university professor who that's their subject and say, I have a couple questions, whatever it is, right? Like try to get an understanding of where you are locationally. And then the land acknowledgement, in my opinion, it's really different for people across North America. But my opinion, it's great to have that first piece. And then what's really important is what are the actions that we're doing afterwards to follow up on those words.
Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like this, you know how valuable this is going to be for so many people. Like this was like, I was just sitting there and absorbing so much. Like, yes, we need a new one, first of all. And I was feeling like that after I heard Pastor Teresa talk too. I was just like, it's so much deeper. And I really appreciate the thoughtful way that you walk through all this and acknowledging, yes, it will be different. It takes effort. It's just not like a quick check box, And I mean, you went through 6 months of training as well. Like that, just to think about the effort that you put into it. I really appreciate you taking the time to walk through that for our listeners. We have a lot of folks that are, leading organizations, wanting to create organizations or leading walks for other organizations. So I feel like this is just like such a gem that you just dropped just here. So thank you for that.
I'd love to just round it out with one more thought too on this topic. I would really encourage people to try and let go of the shame around getting things wrong, mispronouncing something, being wrong. Really let's shed that. Let's put effort in and, like you said, not tick a box. And also, please do not look down at a sheet of paper. Please just say it from your heart. I don't mind if you look down to steel yourself against saying a name of towards saying a name of something or somebody's name, but please draw on how you feel for this topic. And I recently heard something so my work background is in law, and so I went to a legal conference recently, and it was they talked about, the person who did the opening talked about something that I'm really thankful for is the ability that I grew up with my parents. I was able to learn my historical familial languages. And that's something that to this day has often been impacted with indigenous communities. They have been excluded from their lands. Their languages have tried to be erased and told that they're not good or proper or right or whatever. And so you can even draw something as what seems as small as that and turn that into a land acknowledgement and say, like, this is something that has been historically excluded from indigenous people's rights or existence. So I am thankful for that, and then bring it back to that as you start something. So, there's really endless ways you can do it. And, there's great resources out there, and to just do some research and really dive into that next level of depth, like you mentioned, Dexter, not just ticking a box or not just reading off of a chat GPT land acknowledgement,
Yeah. And I this is we not struggle, but we have limited resources out here in Philadelphia for the Lenape folks, Lenape folks that inhabited this region, kind of just above DC, all the way up into New York. And there's some more detail there, but the majority of them were displaced out to the Midwest. Right. And so we were able to meet a gentleman who flew out from the Delaware tribe of Indians, is what they call themselves. And, they're based in Oklahoma, and they flew out and did a session up here at Hawk Mountain. I was able to meet this gentleman, Jeremy. And just the part that made me most sad was, like, in some parts of North America, there are remaining indigenous folks that continue to inhabit land. Not so much on the East Coast. Like, everyone's been displaced, and that the erasing of the language, the culture, right? There's so much that's just not there. And so what opportunities do you take when you're out guiding folks, right? We talked about the land acknowledgements and just being able to kind of make sure that you're starting at the right spot. But when you're out on the trail and you're experiencing nature, like, what responsibility do we have as outdoor leaders when guiding people on colonized land? Like, how do we make it meaningful? How do we keep it joyful? How do we keep it respectful? Like, how have you kind of accomplished that?
Yeah, I think we've had the real privilege again to build relationship with folks who are from the territories that we exist on. And so in building relationship, we've learned things, but also we've hired folks to facilitate and to be out on the land with us to share, what is culturally safe for them to share or like culturally allowed for them to share. Because there's often things to local indigenous cultures that aren't for outside worlds to know. They're just for the local community. And so, we try to move with respect and care and reciprocity, as we've talked about, and really sharing the things that I've learned that I know that are okay to share from the local people and local communities, things that, connect people to place and space, that like, oh, this is a village site, or this is, you can see that there's cedar harvesting here. And I think you spoke about a really, really important point. So because of the geographic location of where I live and where I'm from, it's a lot more remote for colonization to have happened. It was a lot more difficult for Indian agents to get out to some of these more remote communities on the North Island and stuff like that. And so through the perseverance and care of these communities in upholding their language, their culture, their traditions, their regalia, we see and are able to experience and know so much here on the coast in BC about our indigenous peoples and their ways of being, because there is such a strong sense of commitment to reviving and restoring their languages. Like, some of my friends often say that, like, a word is sleeping. Like, we don't know the word for that. The word is sleeping right now. Like, it will come back out. It will awaken eventually.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a way to not let it die, but understand that it's there somewhere. Right. And we just have to stay ready for it. I love that.
Yeah. The action piece that we're talking about is learning and then sharing with others. And then how do we keep it joyful and respectful. I think by exemplifying those things ourselves, and then, even when it's not those things, when it's not joyful, when sometimes things are sad, like we watched a killer whale, an orca, and two orcas actually, so a baby and a mom, and then a humpback whale, and then there was a seal, harbor seal on the kelp above it, and we saw the orca for like 2 hours, like going after this trying to get to the seal and like teaching the baby orca how to like hit the seal off the kelp so it could get it. But the humpback kept getting in the way and trying to stop it. And and so you're just like sitting there existing, watching, and like something is happening that's, it's nature, but it's raw. We've seen dramatic. At other times we've seen seals killed by a pod of orcas. And so and they're teaching the young how to hunt. And so they're doing it very slowly. And so you can smell actually when they actually kill the seal, because the air smells like cucumber or watermelon. Like it's very, very odd. There's like a slick on the water. Yeah.
Wow.
You can tell these things. And so I think really how we try and accomplish that is by trying to hold the entirety of the context of the situation. Wow, this is sad. This is exquisitely beautiful. Hey, historically, people that look like us, that have backgrounds like us, wouldn't have been able to see this, or this would be an everyday part of our life, but we are now excluded from those experiences or no longer live in our ancestral places. And so those experiences are different and look like this now. So yeah, trying to hold all of that context at once is the first step that we take, I think, in trying to hold all of that.
Wow. So many gems being dropped today, folks. I mean, I'll be honest. On Jason, like earlier, just how lucky I feel to talk with the people that we talk with every week. And this, man, I'm full of a lot of gratitude right now, and we're not even done. So this is crazy. You talked about February 2021, and y'all still here. You're still out here doing this. So what's been one of the most affirming moments you've experienced since starting SBS?
I think it's the things that stand out the most are just the repeated either children's joy or just joy in general of people either experiencing birding for the first time, seeing a bird they've always wanted to see, seeing, like an owl or a raptor or something like that just like gets them going. And then also there's like a scale of it. All from the one side of the scale could be the child's joy, and the other side of the scale could be, finding the first ever black swift colony on Vancouver Island, known to Western science, so that's really where the scale is. It can go literally from just something as small as somebody experiencing something for the first time and you being that catalyst or being a part of them experiencing it for the first time, or all the way up to like a first for Western science and being like, I have no science background, but all of a sudden now I'm feeling like this is all I'm a species ecologist now, and I'm a researcher and all this stuff too, right? So it's like, it's really amazing. I feel like thankfully I've had the privilege to be able to explore it to whatever end that I've wanted to so far. And I feel really grateful for those opportunities through the support of my partner and my family and all. Sure. It's amazing to have those opportunities.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it was I just the term family owned or kind of comes to mind, right? Like, and that does give you an immediate point of trust and understanding. But as you got out into the community, as you started offering the outings, creating space for people to find bird joy, to find joy in nature in general, to find acceptance, was there a moment where like you looked up and you were like, "Whoa, this is really taking off," and this is out there. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than just my immediate family. This is now something that belongs to the community. Do you remember that point in time?
Yeah. We actually use a hashtag bigger than birding because that's kind of what it feels like for us. It's like, it is bigger than birding. Yeah. There's several moments again. So for the first year, my brother and I were actually paying for everything ourselves, for like paying for like food and paying for people to figure it out. Yeah. You just got to figure it out. Right? And we hadn't like incorporated it as a nonprofit or anything like that. That also was, my educational background as a lawyer gave me the skills to be able to do that, right? And even then, I felt lost at some parts. So I couldn't imagine somebody else who doesn't have that legal background being like, where do I start with this? But that moment for me one of them was just like getting some of the bigger fashion brands interested. Like, oh, what? Like this company wants to give you $10,000 for people to go outside and watch birds. Like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Sure.
Like, yeah. So just like interesting outdoor brands, like wanting to support in different ways. We've been really supported well by Patagonia and stuff like that. So yeah, we're really appreciative of different folks reaching out, and Knox has been big as well.
Yeah, Knox is great.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Arc'teryx, we were their strategic partnership for the first 3 years of our organization as well. So it's been cool to have their support as well. So yeah, I think that really, for me, coming from like not this like science, outdoor stuff, like outdoor experiential education was my thing, but not so much like leading and facilitating it myself. I'd always experienced it. And so when these big brands reached out and were like, hey, like we're interested in supporting you guys doing your work, I'm like, oh, okay, there really is something to this. And, I think testament to that is all three of our groups and all the other groups that have all exploded at the same time, around the same time anyways, around birding. And I think like, I saw a stat that there was like 90 something million birders in America right now alone. So
having a moment for sure.
It's like a 10-year-old stat too, I think.
Oh, really?
I think
Dang.
there's more now. Yeah. Like, I think
holy smokes.
I think there's more.
Yeah. So I think during COVID, it was like the second biggest gaining activity besides something else, probably like golf or something like that, or frisbee golf. But yeah, so it's just I feel like it was right place, right time, and then the support structure in my life and in the community here, it was the right time, and then having my family involved. Having people in I've met all of my best friends basically now through SBS. Like,
love that.
Yeah, like we hang out so much outside of school.
Hey, you are a lifelong learner. I mean, you're always learning, so it might feel like school
outside
sometimes.
of school.
No, truly, that's kind of what we said before too. Is like sometimes it feels like adult summer camp, So
I would love to do I would love to do a birding trip themed. But like just birders, an adult field trip that's themed like Stranger Things. And we only bird on our bikes and we just ride around some random neighborhood for like 7 days.
Hey man, I might need to talk to you. We've got a little idea brewing about some.
Let's go.
We've got a little idea brewing about some birding stuff. So we might.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, like really,
So
SBS is just, it's grown from, like I told you, something that I didn't even expect to something just absolutely massive. And along the way, I've just met so many cool people and experienced so many cool things. We're actually at a limit. Like we're not going to be able to grow any further. It's just like capacity wise and time and space wise. We're at our spot. We feel comfortable, we feel good. We have a staff person. We'd like to continue that and start to build and get an administration person as well and really build that out. And so, yeah, it's just been like a really big learning experience. And what we want to do now is share what has worked for us with other people so that they can have their own thing or do their own thing where they are.
Love it.
You didn't hear this from me, but you might see us in a city near you in 2026.
Love it.
Hey, listen.
Be the change, folks. Be the change. And I really love that. You talked about school, right? Education, learning. How do you balance that education with the actual joy, right? I mean, we're thinking about outdoor justice. It requires a lot of reckoning with history and it could be sombering. It could be depressing sometimes. How do you balance that with joy?
I think grounding myself in like what are the physical truths in front of me as well, like the what is current in front of me. So like by actually birding. Like by reading about the biodiversity crisis, the climate crisis, and then going outside and birding and being like, oh my God, there's some cool stuff around me. It's not all going to burn up right now. And, just trying to, one's a gas pedal and one's a brake, and you're just trying to apply one and the other whenever they're possible. There's not some magic pill or magic book that I read that like makes me feel so much better than everybody else about what's going on. Like I definitely feel quite similar to how I imagine you folks feel right now too. And so how do I balance it is by just trying to ground myself, by trying to be a support for people in my community that I care about who have capacity and time to also support me. And it's not like a transactional thing, because if somebody needs help, if I can, I'll always be able to try and be able to help. But yeah, just trying to, like, that reciprocity that we talk about, like showing people in SBS community and my friends like how I want to be treated by treating other people that way. And then, like also explaining and asking for help when I need that help too. And so, yeah, trying to balance it by learning. I try to balance all of it by learning and by trying to be present, and then also trying to take time away too from this, because I don't know about you guys, but my brain is just kind of going all the time about this sort of stuff. And so it can be hard to turn it off. And then, sometimes you feel like you're supporting something or someone, and then all of a sudden you learn something about them or about something that they support, and then you can no longer do that, or it's against your own values to do that. And so the world is just moving so fast these days. I think it's really important that we try and slow it down in every opportunity that we can, at every turn that we can, kind of thing.
I love the way you put that too. Like, as you move through the world, you're engaging with these different groups and people, and your organization is growing. The community is being invested in the organization, and therefore the community that you are serving kind of becomes your responsibility. You feel like, I have to keep doing what we're doing the way that we need to do it to protect what we have here. I'm like, how do you go about that? Because you do sometimes, like I've experienced this, come across partners and you're like, they're not the right fit. As you find out more, I find it as just learning how to say no. How do you protect the community's soul, or what you've built as you and your organization grow with the community that you're serving? Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. I think it's really important. Like, it's another commitment and responsibility as an organizer that I feel like I have. And I think how we've tried to meet that head on at SBS is by having monthly meetings with our members and our people who volunteer. And it's just like, it's on Zoom, and it's just touch points. Like, hey, this is something that we want to talk about. We set an agenda. So there's space for folks to speak about how they feel, to make suggestions. And then also, once the suggestion is made, they're encouraged to be a part of the solution within the organization, or as a part of the organization, or however they would like to see that as well.
Love that.
So we try to call people in rather than call people out. So like, just, yeah.
I love that, man. Call people in rather than call people out. It's so much more, sounds like such a more effective way of overcoming conflict, or maybe difference of opinion.
Totally. And, as masculine presenting folks, like, a lot of stuff that we deal with our fathers and with people in the community is around shame, right? It's around like, oh, I should be this way. I need to be this way. I wanted to be here at this time in my life, or, I need to be this, or a man needs to be this. And and then so just really like shedding that shame or talking about it and facing into it, I found is like, oh, okay, I made a mistake. Let me like face into this, and rather than hide away from the mistake and run away from it, like, let me face into it and learn from it and with it.
Yeah, and grow.
Like, you can't cancel everybody and run away. Like, you'll be alone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's best to just say, oh, okay, I've made a mistake. I'm sorry. How can I? And I'm not putting it on the other person to tell you how to make it better or be better. Like, to actively learn and listen to improve your own behavior or the behavior of the community, or just to create a safer space. So how we do it is by having these volunteer meetings where people can drop in, drop out, and provide their lived experience. They don't need to be an HR guru or anything like that. They can just be like, hey, I'm 20 and I have this lived experience, and I'm going to share this meeting because this is what I hear, read, learn, see. So like valuing.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. That level of transparency. Our groups like ours make people feel seen and heard. That's another level that you're providing to your members to be able to come in. That's how you build trust. They're literally like, they realize that their voice matters, that they're a part of something bigger. Like you mentioned, like, this is bigger than you, right? The hashtag that you all, bigger than birds, right? I always tell people burden isn't about the bird, and it is the community. I've met people like Jason and all the people we get to interview, like yourself, and some of like the best people I know in my life I've met through birding. And it's just beautiful. And I know you dropped some hints about possibly coming to cities near, you might be traveling and spreading this message of how to create these spaces for people. If you don't happen to go to their community, if somebody's listening, they want to start something, where do you think they should begin?
That's a good question. I would begin like in your community and trying to find out other people who have similar interests or who have something that they want to offer to a collective or a group. Ask questions and be curious about like, hey, what's your capacity for something like this? What's your capacity for going birding once a month? Start informal. You don't need to have a bunch of binoculars and 6 scopes to take out a bunch of people birding and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you can just go out and sit in a backyard and listen. It doesn't even have to be with binoculars. Like that's that access and opportunity thing again, where, there's the entry level, there's all the way up to the scientific and research level. Birding historically in a lot of indigenous communities and a lot of Black and brown communities has just literally been a part of everyday life, not this separate thing that we go do while wearing safari gear or while carrying this massive camera. It's just like in South India, like the birds carry the messages from the stars and they carry the dreams and hopes of people through the stars and navigating at night and stuff like that. There's just all of these ways of go out birding, and you might, or if it is birding that you want to create a group around, go out birding and you'll probably meet other birders out birding. And that's how you can create networks. And, your local university might have a birding group. There might be a local informal birding group that you can join. Those often have their own perils that come along with them.
Sure.
But,
to put it lightly.
And, but yeah, I think that's a good place to start. But if you're feeling like you're isolated and you're alone in wanting to explore some outdoor activity, I would suggest talking to the people that you care about to try and go do that with them first. And then once you're feeling a little bit more comfortable doing it with the people that you care about, try and find some friends, or maybe you meet somebody that also is interested in it while you're out doing it. Try and find other local groups like that are already doing it. So I think that was what I was trying to allude to, is like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's often like other people out there who are interested in the same thing. I've found an incredible community of people who are interested in birds and all of the aspects that and latch on to birds as the sort of epicenter, like the environmental aspect, the social and racial justice aspect. So there's just,
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. And I, wow, we got so much out of this today, homie. Like I've always been inspired by what I see from you all on social media, and just the way you and we've had a couple conversations, in the DMs here and there about things. And like, it's just so refreshing to hear you expand on some of these ideas and really the key principles that you operate under and Special Bird Service operates under. And so we got to finish off with the hardest part of the interview.
Yeah.
Which is the lightning round. Yeah. So we're going to ask you some tough questions. Yeah. And so, I hope you're ready. Quick answers, and we'll see where you land. All right. Okay.
Here we
Favorite bird to encounter on an SBS walk or outing? Oh, we stumped him already on the first one.
No, there's options. The black-crowned night heron at Rifle Bird Sanctuary. It's like the only black-crowned night heron that nests on the West Coast, and it's just incredible.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just right? It's just in like a bush on like the side of a trail in this bird sanctuary.
Like, I got the best spot in the USA.
Love it. Favorite migration season?
I think it's got to be the northward one in spring.
I don't know what the one is, but y'all still have shorebirds in like late November, and it makes me so mad sometimes. Every time
they overwinter.
Like, this is nonsense.
Yes, they overwinter in the Fraser Delta, some of them. So it's pretty amazing.
It's great. One word, if you had to only use one word to describe the Special Bird Service.
Intentional.
A place in nature that feels like home.
I think a Gary Oak meadow So I think you guys call them white oaks. Estates.
Okay.
Yeah, basically there's this type of endemic oak here on the West Coast that it only 2% of its former range remains, and it's like a keystone species essentially, and responsible for over 400 other species that live off of it and with it.
This
stuff
looks
like that.
beautiful.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
they're really truly incredible. They look like something out of a movie, and so
Yeah, I had to Google.
yeah,
Sweet Lord.
what's part of their whole ecosystem is, so the tree is part of it, and then there's this wildflower that only sprouts for like a month, or flower, sorry, for a month in like April, May, and it's called camas, and it's basically like a bulb, and indigenous people actually, it's this center part of their food sovereignty and food network is the camas bulb. They like slow cook it in pit cooks and would eat the bulb as like a potato type starch. Camas is just, it flowers for such a short period of time, but is the most exquisite blue flower, and it just is, it's exquisite. The whole ecosystem in Gary Oak is just,
I gotta be honest, man. I'm really upset about that 8 inches of snow covering everything outside my house right now, looking at this picture. All right, second to last question. Something people might be surprised to learn about you.
I play viola. I've played in an orchestra at
We
school.
got so many musicians
I
in the
know,
break.
this is so
we
cool.
need to start coming together somewhere on this, because we got just about everything.
Yeah.
All right,
That or
one.
I used to play professional cricket for a while.
Okay.
Cricket.
See, we should have
It's a
led with that in the
viola.
whole interview.
A
okay.
lawyer.
All right, we're gonna chat in the DMs.
So much. All right, last one. Favorite sauce.
I didn't know you added it.
Hey man, you got to. I think it's got to be like a chili crisp ponzu, like soya mix, like a chili oil soya mix with like a little citrus ponzu in there. I think that mix, it just goes well with so many different things. You can put it on everything from like salad to sushi to
Yeah, you had me at chili oil, bro.
rice. Exactly.
I was in.
So versatile. That and then like a typical, like maybe like a serrano or like a some type of smoked pepper aioli. That would be like
I'm going to dinner with my wife after this too. So it's her birthday today, and like I'm gonna have to. Okay, thank you. You got my.
Love it.
You got my Trenton.
Dude.
Thank you for the care, the intention, the honesty you bring to this work. Special Bird Service is a powerful reminder that the outdoors can be a place of healing, connection, and belonging when community comes first. For everybody listening, we encourage you to learn more about Special Bird Service, support your community-led outdoor spaces, and reflect on what it means to truly make room for one another in nature. Trenton,
Yes.
thank you so much, homie.
Thank you, everybody out there. This one was full of so much information. Please make sure you share this episode with your folks that are leading walks or organizations. Please share, subscribe, and never forget that Bird Joy is for everyone, even you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate the space, and it's awesome getting to have a conversation with you guys. Thank you so much.